Guten Tag and welcome to Munich. We're gonna go explore this city and find out all the amazing things that it has to offer. I think Munich is best known for its beer, its pretzels, and its deep-rooted history, and not only World War II, but things well before that, Bavarian culture. We're gonna do a little bit of the old town today. We're gonna see the biggest sights. We're gonna go explore the route of the Third Reich. So it's gonna be an interesting day of learning. It's gonna be a exciting day of eating and drinking. And nonetheless, we're gonna make the best of a cool experience in Munich. Peace.
In the heart of Munich stands a centuries-old testament to Bavarian history and culture, the Residenz, the once royal dwelling of the Wittelsbach monarchs. Today it stands as Germany's largest city palace, a place where the doors are open for visitors to immerse themselves in incredible architecture, elaborate paintings and ceiling frescoes, ornate rooms, and a 1,000-year-old collection of jewels. This magnificent palace complex covers 10 courtyards with over 130 distinct rooms, each echoing tales of the past. The sheer size of the rooms, like the banquet hall and the theater, are truly difficult to comprehend. The only thing going through my head the entire time we were there was, I cannot believe someone lived in this place. You could probably spend about 2 hours here and be good, although if you want to take your time to appreciate all the fine details in each room, budgeting out a half day or more works just fine too. You can purchase your tickets right as you walk in, and there are guided tours and those headset things if you're into that.
What do you think of Munich so far?
I actually really love it.
What do you like about it?
The buildings are so beautiful. It gives me a Shrek vibe.
Yeah, we're in Duloc right now. Here's the thing you gotta know about Munich. That is literally Duloc from Shrek. And Lord Farquaad lives in this building right here.
Situated right next to the Residenz is the Hofgarten. The garden was built in the early 17th century by Maximilian I, and it's home to a number of beautiful flower beds, Bavarian sculptures, and gorgeous fountains. The original Hofgarten was actually destroyed during World War II, but has since been rebuilt, taking on a more modern feel. The garden is always open to the public, so be sure to check it out on your visit. After a quick stroll around the garden, head south and check out the St. Peter's Church bell tower. For just €3, you can take the stairs to the top and get a beautiful 360 view of the old town. These fences were a bit annoying, but whatever, still cool. Right when you leave the bell tower, you should be just a short walks away from Marienplatz, where you'll get to see the famous Rathaus Glockenspiel show. Every day at noon, a massive crowd gathers to watch these characters dance around to the sound of bells being played. Allegedly, the dance reenacts two stories from Munich's history during the 16th century, one about the marriage of Duke Wilhelm V, and the other about a dance which brought vitality to the city during the year of the plague. The whole thing lasts about 15 minutes, and is slightly underwhelming, but whatever, when in Munich, you go watch the Glockenspiel dance. Alright, let's get out of here. I think it's time for lunch. One of my favorite places in all of Munich is the Viktualienmarkt. Open daily since 1807, except on Sundays, this market felt massive, layered in mouth-watering lunch options, butcher shops, cheese shops, beer gardens on every corner. It was almost overwhelming trying to figure out what to eat. Over a 2-day span, we ate this insane meatloaf sandwich, gave this other mystery meatball a go, took down an ox sandwich, and then dipped our toes in some pork knuckle as well.
This is the famous Oxendersemmel.
What's on it?
It's ox.
Ox.
And I think sauerkraut or onions. I don't know.
Let's get a little inside action. Oh, hell yeah. And then obviously we're going with the beer, because when in Munich, I mean, you gotta get yourself whatever this is. Cheers. What do you think?
It's delicious. I think I like the meatloaf one better. A really good job.
Little mustard dip. know what this sandwich is? This is the tri-tip sandwich of Germany. Hey, what is this sandwich right here? I'm loyal. Can I get one of those? Look at this. Look at this. Wow. Oh my god. I don't even know what's going on right now. Pork knuckles.
And then grab a fork, grab some forks.
Dankeschön. Look at that. That's a beauty. Take my money. Oh yeah, get that shit on there. This is a culinary experience in the beer garden. This was pork knuckle on a sandwich. Look at this shit. I'm gonna take a little nibble. Listen, would I order pork knuckle on a sandwich again? Probably not. But when in Munich, you order the pork knuckle sandwich. Look at this place! This place is nuts. It's packed. Friday afternoon, 12 o'clock, everyone getting beers. No better way to be. So, I wanted to pause for a second because this video is about to transition pretty intensely, and I think that's natural when talking about a subject like this. Munich, clearly an unbelievable place. I mean, for the entire first day that we were there, all we did was drink beers, eat amazing food, and go see all the incredible sights that the city has to offer. But Munich, for a place that's rooted in such dark history, it's tough to ignore it. So we're gonna spend the entire second half of this video going on this Third Reich walking tour and really exploring a lot of the sites that were significant during the time of the rise of the Nazi Party. So I think this just needed a little bit of a stop, a pause, and then a switch because the tone of the video will undoubtedly change. So I hope this is informative. I hope it's interesting. I hope this is maybe something that you would want to do when you visit Munich. So check it out. Here we go. So behind us is the Fuhrer building, which housed Hitler and the representatives of the Nazi Party during the early 1920s, 1930s, all the way up until 1945. This is actually where they signed the Munich Treaty, which allowed them to annex all of Czechoslovakia, which really prompted all of World War II. Before they invaded Poland, which really started the war, they began the movement of trying to spread their living spaces and acquire more land. This is where the other governments started the policy of appeasement, which gave in to Hitler's demands. And so eventually when they annexed Czechoslovakia, Neville Chamberlain eventually just gave in to Hitler, and it allowed for him to take over pretty much Czechoslovakia with no violence, which is a crazy form of diplomatic strategy because everybody was trying to avoid war, but ultimately it didn't work out in the end. So this is the building where it happened. The crazy part is that now today it's used as a theater, so you could actually hear music coming from the building. It seems as though Munich, which differs from Berlin in a way, it seems like Munich is trying to remove this part of their history from the city, where it seems like Berlin wears it on its sleeve and just always wants to be reminded of the past so that they don't repeat it in the future. But Munich is trying to maybe do away with any symbolism or representation of that era. Rachel just made an interesting point, which is that this sign right here talks about the treaty where they annexed Czechoslovakia, but it doesn't make any mention to any other part of the building. It is interesting just to note, because you'd think that a place like this might have more information about what it was used for, its past, its history, but it doesn't. That's the Fuhrer building right there. This is actually right behind me. This is a museum about the rise of the Nazis in Munich itself. this place significant that's standing behind me. So this was the site in 1923 where Hitler organized what they called a putsch, or it was more or less a coup. There were a lot of disagreements with the federal government at the time, and Hitler found the opportunity at that moment to try to seize power. So what ended up happening is the rebellion was shut down, but that's when he was arrested and he was put in jail, and during that period it's where he wrote Mein Kampf, which was a big turning point, which allowed him a year later, when he was able to get out, there's a lot of interest in making him a leader. November 9th also has a lot of significance because they viewed the coup as an important date of like the precursor of where they tried to seize power. So they actually made November 9th a very historical date, and they used it again when they led the pogroms across Germany during a night they called Kristallnacht, where they went and they damaged all the Jewish businesses across Germany. So this building was actually used to commemorate Bavarian military leaders who fell during the Franco-Prussian War, but it's most remembered for the time period in which Hitler used this area to stage his rebellion and coup against the government at the time.
This cobblestone street we're walking down now is called Druckebergergasse, which translates to Shirker's Alley. The reason for its significance is that every time you had to pass by the nearby memorial for the 1923 beer hall putsch, Nazi soldiers required you to render a Hitler salute. This alleyway was used for locals to circumvent that occurrence, and now these bronze stones are a memorial to those who resisted such tyranny.
World-renowned beer hall, also the location of many Nazi gatherings, a popular spot frequented by Adolf Hitler and many members of the Nazi Party.
You know, the Hofbrauhaus represents such a strange phenomenon in the city of Munich. Such a vibrant place full of people having the time of their lives. We literally went there later that evening for one of our favorite nights of the trip, but still a place that was frequented by the darkest of people that this world had ever seen. This building in front of us now is the Altes Rathaus, Munich's Old Town Hall. It was here that Joseph Goebbels gave his infamous speech that inspired Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass, on November 9th, 1938. This nationwide pogrom led to the destruction of numerous Jewish businesses and the arrest of thousands of Jewish citizens. It is referenced as the start of what we now refer to as the Holocaust.
So it seems like this building was used as one of the first buildings for the Nationalist Socialist Party, which ended up being the Nazi Party. And Hitler converted the first floor of this building into a Nazi museum. And this is where they would meet on countless occasions. Behind us is where Hitler lived for the time while he was in Munich. I think it's now just a regular room, and they use his room as storage. Do they have his... Again, it's just kind of crazy that there are all these historical sites throughout this entire city that were very significant to World War II, but yet there's no mention of them in any of the places that we've been. I think just that the Fuhrer building, the first place that we went, had a sign that mentioned that this is where they signed the Munich Treaty, but all the other places, they've kind of washed away any resemblance or any notes that it has any significance and tie to World War II or the Nazi Party or Hitler whatsoever. It's interesting.
Really difficult to transition out of that, but I think that really is the essence of Munich, right? Because later on that evening, we went out, we had an amazing dinner, we went and got ourselves a bunch of pints of beer, a bunch of pretzels at the Lowenbrau. We went to the Augustiner Keller, which was incredible too, and had everything from bread dumplings to more pork and beef, you name it. But to try to juxtapose that with the intensity of how we spent that day going on this Third Reich walking tour, it's difficult to maybe find the words of or express the emotion of what that day is like. But at the same time, I think this video does a good job of really encapsulating the essence of what Munich is. It's a city that's rooted in Bavarian culture with beer drinking, unbelievable food. It's a happening place with tons going on, but at the same time, it has to confront its past during the early 20th century. It's a city that dealt with some really dark times, and it would be a disservice to not try to understand what was happening in the city while you go to visit. It would be a disservice to not try to learn a little bit about what that time period was like when you go to visit Munich. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope maybe there was something in here that will inspire you for you to add to your trip when you go visit Munich. But anyway, we're doing some awesome stuff coming up next. We have Innsbruck, Austria as our next spot on the tour, so we hope to see you in the next one. Peace.